Hello, friends, and welcome back to Stories About Entitled People. Let's start our video with a story in which the company not only lost any profit from the product that our OP ordered, but also spent more money on reworking the order than the original purchase price. But before we begin, don't forget to subscribe to our channel if you're new here and turn on notifications so you don't miss a new video every single day. Here we go. You sent me the wrong slate for my pool table and are now required to send the proper size. I recently purchased a pool table from a very well-known online vendor. After a week or so of making the order, my pool table showed up on 2 pallets. One of the pallets contained the actual table pieces, the legs, sides, frame, pockets, etc. The second pallet contained the 3 pieces of slate, weighing roughly 650 pounds, give or take. A few days after receiving the shipment, the pool table installer showed up to do the install. However, he quickly realized that the company had sent me 8-foot slate for a 7-foot table. A very quick bit of background for those who are not aware: slate is heavy, bulky, extremely fragile, and thus very expensive to ship. I called the company and informed them of their error. They then stated that they would ship the new slate out on Monday. I called on Friday. After a few minutes on the phone, the customer representative and I did some quick calculations and realized that it would be much more cost-effective for the company to simply send me the actual 8-foot pool table rather than pay to have the 8-foot slate shipped back and the new proper size slate shipped to me. Although we originally wanted the 7-foot table because my fiance and I like to play pool at bars and that's the standard bar size, we did have the room for an 8-foot table. Because of this, I was fine with them sending the 8-foot table instead. After all, the price difference between the 2 sizes was around $100. We had almost finished finalizing everything when the manager got involved. The manager got on the phone and informed me that he had no intentions of upgrading the table size for free and that he would send someone to pick up the original slate pallet and drop off the proper size slate. The shipping for the table was free, so the company had paid all original shipping costs, around $1,200. Now they're paying another shipping cost, around $800 to get the original slate back, in addition to another $700 to $800 to ship the new slate. The pool table itself was under $3,000. The company has now spent nearly $2,800 to sell me a roughly $3,000 pool table. To add insult to injury, because I incurred a $200 fee from the original failed install, the company had to also credit me $200. In total, the company has not only lost any kind of profit from the table, but have actually spent more money getting the order right than the original purchase price. By comparison, had the company simply sent me the 8-foot table, it would have cost them another $300 in shipping, in total, to ship the new table pieces and return shipment of the original table. I now have a beautiful 7-foot slate pool table, and the company's out around $3,000. And our next story. I will withdraw everything from your company and watch you disintegrate. I'm a typical simple guy who just likes relaxing and was born with the proverbial silver spoon in my mouth. I'm the black sheep of my family and a middle child to boot. Double whammy. But I at least have a little brains and some luck, which I kind of use on a day-to-day basis. Due to my parents' connections, I managed to get into a lucrative school in my country, did my military service, and was promoted upward to captain, and later on was shipped off to college out of country. I've never been too close with many people apart from my circle of friends, and I prefer it that way. After my college, I was employed in government, you guessed it, family connections, and after a few years was able to use my name to get ahead and meet people who helped me set up several businesses in my area, a coastal city where this story happens. The money I used was generally allowances, small inheritance from my late grandma, some investments, a fund that was started when I was a baby, and money gifted to me by my family, basically an attempt not to leave me broke enough to embarrass them, even though I'm a simple, low-maintenance fellow. My businesses are booming since the coastal area we live in attracts a lot of tourists, local and international, and of course some locals who wish to mingle with the tourists to get green cards, pen pals, spouses, and such. Typical coastal city, I guess. The incident. As a proprietor of my businesses, I have most, if not all, of my staff on salary since it's the best way for them to gain benefits and is easier for me as a business owner tax-wise. Tipping is more of a gift, typically, since we don't have a tipping culture. And I have my staff on comprehensive medical insurance, which has additional dental and optical on top of the national government healthcare medical scheme. Our government hospitals provide all services free, but wait times for elective surgeries are exhausting. We also have a mandatory legal requirement to provide employees with retirement benefit savings, minimum of 21 working days leave, I give 30, and my businesses offer paid overtime, unhindered medical leave for surgery and serious conditions which can be extended, as well as allowances to seek treatment such as chemo or dialysis. One of my female employees, an older lady who's brilliant and had moved up the ranks to manager and was adored by all, was booked for a hysterectomy since, as she told me, she was at risk of cervical cancer as her mother had passed from it a few years back, and since she already had 4 kids, it was the most logical step. She did her due diligence and found a private hospital which was in our system where she could have the procedure done. On the planned date, she applied for leave days, which we obviously rejected since this fell under the scope of medical leave. She went on to have the procedure successfully and had a quick recovery time. The bill was to be catered for by the company insurance, and we had made sure to get all the necessary pre-authorizations. A few months later, she came to work looking distraught, and in all honesty, we thought that she'd been told she'd gotten cancer since she'd asked for a day off to go for a review and tests. But what happened was much worse. She had been given a bill by the hospital since the insurance had refused to pay for it, citing that it was not in the scope of cover. We were livid since we'd made sure everything was in effing order. I sent my accounts manager to go have a talk with the insurance people as we tried to calm her down. The manager came back super angry and told me that basically after showing them the evidence, the insurance people just told him to buzz off. I decided to personally go visit that office and get a clear understanding of what was happening. They kept me waiting for an hour, and even after that, had the audacity to inform me the director from the head office who was in the area had declined to meet me because he was quote-unquote busy. I was pissed to the high heavens, so I decided to go to their head office in the capital city, a 2-hour flight. The head office was no help and informed me that they had revised their policy and that it was not covered. I asked when the policy was revised, and they informed me a month prior. I informed them the surgery was done 5 months prior and we had all the documentations. They claimed that it was 12 months retroactive. I inquired why I was not informed of it since this was big news, and I've held policies with them, and they told me that they had informed their large clients and would inform the other clients when their insurances were due for renewal. I demanded to speak to their boss, company vice president, since the CEO was not around, and they boldly told me he had no time for me, and frankly that, in verbatim, we are a large company and have no time to argue semantics with low-end clients. If you don't like it, you can frankly leave and find a new insurance company. The revenge. I'd been initially pissed. I was full-blown mad. I was livid and filled with rage. In all my years, I may have experienced some disrespect, and I accepted it, not to make problems, but this time it went too far. I decided in the heat of the moment to switch everything and be done with them. I flew back home and just plain went to the hospital and settled the bill in full and took the receipt to my employee, who initially insisted that she would do anything to pay me back, but I refused since it was in no way her fault, and I'll be damned if she pays for something that was way out of her control. I had a few days to cool down and talk to my directors. The words still etched in my mind. I asked how long it would take us to switch to another insurance. They went ahead and checked out a few large rivals of the insurance we had and discovered that if we switched, it'd take 6 months for the new insurance to provide full coverage. The firm we picked, who I'll call New Insurance, offered us a way better deal to the one we had. It had cost me a little more, but I didn't really care. The people who dealt with us from our previous insurance, who I'll call Old Insurance, seemed unfazed that I was pulling my company from them since they thought it was just a small business. They looked puzzled when I came in with several people and a few boxes of documents. What they failed to realize was that, apart from that one business, which is a restaurant, I have 3 popular bars, a cab company, a hotel resort, cleaning service chain, a building and residential guard service, and several rental buildings in town and around the country. Their shock was compounded when they were informed by the lawyer just who I am, and the shock, awe, and confusion and panic when they heard my family name was an extremely satisfying sight. Cue the pleading and attempted negotiations and apologies. It was so big that the news reached their head office, who sent not only their director, the one who was apparently too big to see me, but also their chief legal officer, chief financial officer, and president of the company. I somehow also earned a personalized call from their CEO, who was abroad. No amount of sweet-talking was changing my mind, and by the end of 6 weeks, we had completely removed ourselves from the old insurance. It was now a waiting game to the beginning of the new insurance coverage, and we really hoped that no one would become unwell by that time, but we were ready just in case. In that waiting time and after the new insurance commenced, I talked to my friends and my family on one of my holiday visits. My older brother's kids adore me, and my family kind of realized they were a-holes to me and are trying to re-enter my life, and thought that was that. Aftermath. My friends and family took my words and also pulled their businesses from the insurance to other insurances. The company took such a huge hit, and when COVID came around and it was a big deal, they were barely floating. They went into receivership soon after and were acquired by the insurance I'd moved to, who happened to be their greatest rivals. The directors and CEO were given their golden parachutes and resigned, and most of their employees were luckily retained, apart from the senior executives, including the ones who told my manager to buzz off. In a cruel twist of irony, the building they were operating in our town was sold, and if you guessed I purchased it, you would be absolutely correct. I decided to remodel the inside and turn it to business rental space. All in all, it was a bit of a sweet payback, and wherever they are, I hope those disrespectful guys learned that everyone is human and they're not above anyone. And remember that karma is a cold and heartless witch. Hearing someone care so much for their employees is honestly refreshing. Hey guys, thank you all for watching the video. I'll see you in the next one.